so how did I win my first yo-yo contest? And I don't think this can be explained with just me telling you how I won the contest. This first contest win, you really need to understand like my entire player backstory. It goes like this. Yo-yoing has always been something that's interested me. And my early memory with the yo-yo was I was very young. I probably would have been about like 3 or 4 years old. And my aunt, we were watching a documentary about the 80s, and there was a chick with a hula hoop, I remember that, and then there was a boy with the yo-yo. And I didn't really think much of it. And she said, you know what, Brandon? Your dad used to be really good at the yo-yo thing. And my dad is someone who I always hold in very, very high esteem. So the fact that he could do that yo-yo thing, I wanted to be able to do that yo-yo thing. Fast forward a couple years, I think I was about 7 years old at this point, and then for the first time, I saw my dad play with the yo-yo. He went to like a corporate event or something, and he got a yo-yo from the fair, and he was showing us all these tricks. He was showing us walk the dog, he was showing me, I remember him doing rock the cradle. And when he did that yo-yo trick, I was like, oh my god, that is so complicated. I'll never be able to do that. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then when I get to a certain age where I can start playing with my own yo-yos, I never had a yo-yo that could spin. I do remember being able to do loop-the-loop, and that's all I could do. All I could do was do loop-the-loop, and that was like the height of my yo-yo experience as like a 7-year-old. Then, this is the story I tell in all of my interviews when they say, how did you get into yo-yoing? When I was about 12 years old, this was in 2009, there was a kind of like a yo-yo boom happening, and I remember my cousin had bought a yo-yo and he just had it on his desk. He bought it, he didn't really play with it, and I was like, hey, that looks kind of cool. This is what that yo-yo looks like. I think this is the exact model. He gave it to me. So I played around with it, and because it could sleep, I was like, oh my goodness, this yo-yo can sleep. And I remember doing like around the world and rock the cradle and like the up and down thing, all in a matter of like hours, and I was hooked. I was like, oh my god, this is really cool. Like that vision I had of my dad doing the most impossible trick, rock the cradle, I was able to do it in like an hour or two, and I was like, man, if I can go this far, how much further is there to go? I remember at the time, I was very, very into Rubik's Cubes. Rubik's Cubes, I don't know, I watched The Pursuit of Happiness and I was like, oh my god, it is the coolest thing in the world how Will Smith solved that Rubik's Cube. I want to be able to learn that Rubik's Cube thing, so I learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And I remember when I first learned how to solve the cube, that was just the beginning. There are people who could do it in like 5-10 seconds, and I was like, oh my god. Again, this is 2009, so this is before YouTube really kind of takes off, but I remember thinking, oh my god, like, if this is what's capable with this thing, surely there are people out there that can go beyond just walk the dog and around the world and rock the baby. There has to be some kind of group of crazy Asians somewhere that are like really good at yo-yoing. So, I go online and I go onto YouTube, and then, so I see this video and I'm just like, And I was like, what? Oh my god. There's free hands. I quit. Oh my goodness. And I was like, oh my god. That's so cool. Anyway, you guys can watch that video a bit more there. It's like terrible quality. I think it was uploaded in 2007. I would have found it in about late 2008 or like 2009. And I remember thinking to myself, holy crap, that is so cool. I want to be able to do that. So I go online, figure out that the yo-yo I have right now isn't really good for string ticks. I buy a Yo-Yo Jam Legacy, I buy a Yo-Yo Jam Dark Magic, I buy all the damn Yo-Yo Jam yo-yos, and then fast forward, I learn all of the tricks. And keep in mind, because I was able to figure out, okay, there's a crazy cubing community, there has to be a crazy yo-yo community, I was able to learn a whole bunch of tricks without ever meeting another yo-yo player. All of the foundations alone, I learned completely online, I learned completely from Andre Boulay. Fast forward to 2010. I remember thinking at the time, I'm getting pretty decent at this yo-yo thing, but I don't have anywhere to compete. All of the superstars that I see online, you know, Hiroyuki Suzuki, he's in Japan, or like all of the other, like Grant Johnson, he was big at the time on YouTube. Josh Yee, he was big on YouTube. You know, Jeffrey Pang, like now who helps me with my yo-yo designs. I remember watching videos from them and thinking, all of these guys, they either live in Japan or they live in America. Like no one is here in Australia. Until I hear about the Australian National Yo-Yo Championships. ANYC. I think about going in 2010. I don't go in 2010, and I remember I was like, okay, I should have gone, but whatever, I'll go next year. And then the weirdest thing happens. There's this kid that wins. This kid is Vietnamese. I'm Vietnamese. He's Asian. He's like an Asian dude. His name has Vu in his name. He's got Vu in his name. My name's Brandon Vu. This kid whose name was Vu, and he won ANYC that year. And like I saw him on the news, and I was like, oh my god.
Well, one Aussie
like,
student has become
bruh,
good at it.
he's so similar to me. We look the same. We're both Vietnamese. We're both Vietnamese Australians. If he can do it, I can totally do it. I can win ANYC. This is insane. So fast forward, 2011. I rock up, it's in Adelaide, Australia. I'm in Sydney, we have to fly down to Adelaide, but whatever, I don't care. And then, in a Pizza Hut, so I'm surrounded by other yo-yo players, and for the very, very first time, I see yo-yo players who are better than me. I see yo-yo players who can do tricks that I can't do. And I think to myself, oh my god, this is it. And we go and we hang out, and then we rock up to, I still remember this. We went to like a Pizza Hut. It was like a Pizza Hut in Adelaide. He's like an awkward, chubby Asian kid. And then 1 year later, after he won ANYC, he was like the coolest person in the world. I remember thinking to myself, man, when I get to his age, I want to be as cool as Vu Ho. And he's got like a girlfriend at the time, which was a mistake. And then he walks by and I was like, are you Vu Ho? And he's just like, yeah man, I'm Vu. I was like, hi, I'm Brandon, I saw you on the news and blah, 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 blah. And I remember just thinking, man, he's really cool. And you know, I was a total fanboy at the time. And I remember Vu, he gave me, he won like a whole bunch of prize packs that year, and he gave me these 2 Yo-Yo Jam Unleasheds. He gave them to me because he didn't really like looping, and I was the only yo-yoer that could kind of loop at the time. He gave both of those 2 red Unleasheds to me, and I remember that to this day. I was like so grateful. It didn't even cost that much. It probably would have costed like $30 all up, but I just remember being like, oh my god, thank you for giving me those yo-yos. So whenever I win like a prize pack at a yo-yo contest now, I just give it to other kids who don't have as many yo-yos to try to recreate the effect that he had on me. Anyway, fast forward, like Vu Ho and I become buddies, and like I razz on him all the time now. But at the time, he was like a superstar. Meeting him was like one step down from like meeting Hiroyuki Suzuki. Okay, fast forward to 2011. At this time, my style is a copycat clone of Hiroyuki Suzuki and Christopher Chia. Those are my 2 favorite yo-yo players in the entire world. And the year I go to ANYC is a very, very competitive year. No, not only are the best Australians there, but there are a bunch of really, really good players that are from China who learned tricks from China that like were a lot better than anything that we could have domestically produced ourselves. So I go in and I'll show you guys the freestyle. You know what? I'll show you guys my very, very first yo-yo competition freestyle. I don't know why my jeans are so baggy, but I've got an orange string and I've got a Yo-Yo Jam phenom.
Judges ready? DJ ready, go.
I missed this. Oh, this is a bad freestyle. Now keep in mind, I had no idea how the scoring system worked at this point. I didn't understand anything. I would later figure it out, but at this point, I was just trying to emulate Hiroyuki Suzuki and Christopher Chia. Speed combo. Whip combo, why did I do that? That does not score at all. Forward style. Asian pops. Oh, I tried to do an inverted one and I screw it up, so it's not really that good. Oh my god, I screwed that up. So a backstory behind that is circular eel hops. I kept screwing it up in practice, and my dad in the hotel room, he was like, I want you to land that 5 times in a row. And I practiced it for like 2 hours straight until I finally landed it like 5 times in a row. And I was like, yes, I'm ready for the contest. And on the day of the contest, I screw it up. That chopstick combo, I never land that on stage. I don't know why my jeans are so baggy. That's Hiroyuki Suzuki thing. Oh, I try to land a ninja vanish. I don't land the behind the back ninja vanish. But like, this is 2011. That was a pretty advanced trick back then. I shot for the stars. Oh, that's horizontal. Oh, inverted horizontal. That was a Christopher Chia inspired. Forward style horizontal. And then horizontal boingy boing. That's a Hiroyuki Suzuki trick. The lying down trick. I lie down first and then I throw it. I hadn't figured out how to do the Texas Cowboy thing yet. An inverted combo, which is like a crappy version of Hiroyuki Suzuki's. Oh god. That was the Christopher Chia thing. Christopher Chia had just done that trick. This was 2011, and I figured out it's not that difficult, so I did it on stage. I did a crappier version, but, you know, I had a lot of heart going in. Texas Cowboy. Oh, gyro-lutions at the very end. So I got my ass kicked that year. So Vu came second and like Wayne beat him by like a tiny margin, and then Wayne was the Australian national yo-yo champion for that year. So I came in 5th that year. But I was hooked at that point. I may have lost this year, but I'm gonna come back next year and I'm gonna like win this damn thing. So, okay, a lot happens between a year, but essentially what happens, like 2 main things happen. I start going to all the Sydney yo-yo meets, so they were happening quite regularly at the time. So I go to the Sydney yo-yo meets. Another thing that happens is Ryota Ogi. Ryota Ogi lived in Australia. A lot of people don't know this. He lived in Australia for a little bit, and I was able to see his tricks like in my own eyes. And when you see a yo-yo player at that level of skill, it begins to elevate what you think is possible. So it's one thing to see a video of Christopher Chia, but it's another thing to be like, oh wow, that's what it looks like in real life. And you're like, whoa, that looks cool. So I begin to like push the envelope of what I thought was possible, push up skill, and then I remember at the time, because Ryota was hanging around me all the time, I used overdrives and I used Sleipnirs, and then I remember I was like talking to Vu on Facebook Messenger, and he was like, bro, Word has just come out with this really cool yo-yo. It's called the Irony JP. I definitely think you would like that yo-yo, it'll be good. I was like, nah, Word, I'm not really interested in like Word yo-yos. I like my yo-yo recreation yo-yos, thanks but no thanks. And it's just like, bro, it's a really good yo-yo, I think you should try it. And I was like, alright. So I bought an Irony, it was like 110 bucks, and I was like, whatever. I bought it, and then I threw it, and I was like, oh my god. This yo-yo's lit. And like, for anyone who knows, like, my channel is familiar with it, that yo-yo becomes like love at first sight. It's like that girlfriend I never ever got over, and it becomes like, you know, I'm interlinked with the Irony now. But I made the Outlier, which is like a bimetal Irony. In any case, 2012. I go there and I'm prepared. And ANYC isn't held, but another contest is, which is held by, it was held by a different group of people. This contest was like a 2-minute contest. So it was a Sydney yo-yo contest, but everyone in Australia was there. So it was like our nationals, but it was only a Sydney yo-yo contest. The Sydney yo-yo contest, they were still trying to figure things out. So they're like, you guys won't have to do preliminaries. And then at like the last second, they're like, you know what? We're gonna make you do preliminaries. So I was like, oh crap, what the hell? But it wasn't like as crazy as that. Essentially, the preliminaries didn't matter for anything. It was just an extra opportunity to go on stage. So when they said you have to do preliminaries, I was like, all right, fine. So I made a preliminary routine overnight, and this is what I came up with. Gosh, I look so young. Ugh. You can see I've got like a whole bunch more of control now. And my tricks are a bit more sophisticated. I was like, all right, I'm here to win this. Oh, I screw up the speed combo. But I get the second bit working, yep. Oh, yep, and I do the horizontal. And look at that. I've got so much more control of like the horizontal tricks now. And this was in the space of 1 year, like 1 year. Oh yes, that forward style combo. I screwed up a bit, but like it's very clean. So I won the preliminary routine and I was like, okay, all right. And this is something I distinctly remember. I was like, because I used to watch Yoyo and he would decimate the preliminaries and semifinals. And then I used to think to myself, I don't like, it's almost bad luck to win a preliminary because like I always see the players who win the preliminary routine never win the final routine. And I was just thinking about that inside my head. I was just like, man, I hope I don't screw up the final, you know? I really hope I don't screw up the final routine in this. So anyway. Fast forward, we go through a lot of stuff and then we go to the finals routine. Alright, so this is me in finals. Oh, I did an inverted protrusion. I forgot about that trick. Maybe I should bring that back. Oh! So I have a change out, and that change out, I was thinking inside my mind, oh my god, I'm gonna be like Yoyo, I'm gonna win the prelim and I'm gonna bomb this freaking final. I just remember being like freaking mad at that point. So I pick up my backup yo-yo. Now I've only got one backup yo-yo, and funnily enough, that yo-yo, I bought that on the day. I only had one irony, but I loved it so much that I bought another irony on the day. I've never used this gold irony before. I used it a little bit to test it out and stuff, but this yo-yo is brand new out of the box. I've never had to use it. So I was like, oh no, this is off to a really bad start. And you can see I'm a little bit concerned. I missed that. I'm still smiling though. Ooh. Almost no misses in that front style. So this was a combo that I brought in. It was a very Hirokizuki inspired combo. Oh, okay, I remember this point. Every time I watch this, I shudder inside. Like, look at that moment. If that was a knot, I wouldn't have had, like, look at my state. There's no backup yo-yos there. I would not have had a backup yo-yo, and that would have been the end. Like, I'm only a minute into my freestyle. That would have been it. If I had gotten a knot at that point, it would have been it. If my yo-yo snagged, it would have been over. This video would not have happened. But I throw it down. and it unravels, and I was just like, oh my god, thank you, Jesus, Allah, like Buddha, like any divine power. I was just like, thank you. I didn't even notice it at the time, but when I rewatched that, I'm like, this entire freestyle then begins to like screw up because I'm just like, this is not going well. The arm combo. I still kind of use this combo. This was made in 2012. Oh, the behind the back horizontal stuff. I've been doing that for years. And then the chopsticks behind the back, yeah. This was all pretty new stuff for 2012, mind you. No one was really doing this in 2012. Oh, yes. And I remember, okay, my only understanding of the scoring system at this point was that every single string hit is a click. I believe that might have been actually how the scoring system worked at the time. I'm not sure if it is, that's how I thought it worked. And therefore, this end combo is like a last sprint to the finish. It was like the speed combo of all speed combos. Today, it wouldn't really work because there's a lot of repeated elements in it, but in 2012, every single time I hit a string, that is a point. So, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then, so it's like 17 points at the very end. At least in my own head. I don't know if that's what the judges were clicking, but that's what I thought it was. You can see my face that like, I'm smiling and I'm trying to hold it together, but in that, like, I remember like my mom recorded the footage and I was just like, man, I bombed, like that sucked, like I'm gonna lose. I had a change out, I had a crappy routine and it wasn't good. And like I remember she had a recording of it and I was just like, I don't even want to watch it, I just know I didn't win. So anyway, so I remember Wayne gets called out because he did like a troll routine. Bo gets called out, so I was like, oh, okay. Then Vu gets called out and I was like, oh, damn. I don't know, do I come second? And then I was like, all right, who came second?
With a score of 74.75, Leo.
Oh yeah, Leo Lai. He doesn't really yo-yo anymore, but that was his first contest and he crushed it.
Congratulations. I loved your song, Leo. And finally, in first place, with a score of 86.05, Brandon.
Yeah. Woo! Go fast, Brandon. You made future you proud. And I think I won by a bit. Like I think 74. 74 was second place and I got like 80 something. So I won by almost like 17 points. And I remember thinking to myself, damn man, I had like a change out. I had like one of the worst routine run throughs. And I just remember at that point thinking, I really like this yo-yo thing. I want to compete at like the highest level. Now, anyone who watches the chronology knows that that doesn't really happen. I do begin to dominate Australia after that. So after that, it's just me and Vu battling it out for like the next 4 years. So like, there's another contest. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'll make a video going through some of those other routines. But that was my first competition win. And it's a fun memory to look back on for sure, and I definitely think that yeah, no, it's just fun to look back on. So yeah, that was my first competition win, and that's how I came to be.